Hey truck fans, Winslow Bent here. Welcome to another episode of This Old Truck. Today I've got something really cool to show you, which is a 1966 Tucker Sno-Cat. Tucker is a company that is out of Medford, Oregon. It doesn't have anything to do with Tucker cars, which you may have heard of. Tucker Sno-Cat comes out after World War II. Like a lot of the things we focus on the show, there's a lot of great ingenuity, a lot of great engineering, and a lot of great ideas. These are very popular units that were used in the Antarctic, in the Arctic, in service in Wyoming, Alaska, any place where it's nasty, where it's cold, and you need to get yourself deep into the woods. Tucker Sno-Cat is the thing to have. Now, to help explain this vehicle to us, I brought Eric Johnson. Eric is the master mechanic over at Legacy Classic Trucks. Eric, welcome back on the show. Nice to see you, bud. How you been?
You too. I'm great.
So, Eric, I think the viewers would like to know, how did we find this thing?
As I recall, we were on a wild goose chase looking for old trucks one day, and it was on my birthday.
It was your birthday.
A few years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
And you said, hey, Eric, let's go look for these trucks. I have a possible client, and I want to look at some other things.
Let's talk about Sno-Cats in general. Now, under original designs, the idea was to have tracks in the back that would push the vehicle over snow, and then a pair of skis in the front that would help to steer it. What Tucker came up with is 4 tracks, and why don't we set it up so they independently articulate? What makes this thing go forward?
Well, if you look just a walk up and glance at this vehicle, you can see that it has axles like a 4-wheel drive pickup would have, front and rear. And there are bearings at each end, just like they would be at your wheels. Okay. Right? But after that is where it changes.
That's when we get into the drum.
These are what's known as drivers that rotate beneath the chain, moving it along in a gear-like fashion, like a chain on your bike or a chain on your motorcycle.
So this is the driver, this is spinning, and these teeth are picking up the chains and spinning it.
Right. Forcing the top of the chain forward so that the bottom of the chain goes back.
One of the things that made Tucker really, really unique was this dual track setup. I mean, there are 4 separate tracks that are propelling this thing, and that had a lot to do with how well it turns. But how does it actually turn?
Well, if you look underneath, you can see our articulating hydraulic cylinder, and then it is tied to what appears to be a tie rod.
Yes.
That links to this table, which is the platter.
This is like the world's longest dragler.
And it's big and heavy because it has to move this entire mass of metal back and forth.
So one of the cool things about a Tucker Sno-Cat is it comes with 4 service ladders, so you can easily climb on top of this thing, get up here, and service it. Look at Eric, you got the graceful way to go right up the front.
Right.
So, again, this hood, it probably weighs 5 pounds. It is so light. Here is a 318 Chrysler, very similar to the 318 you see in automotive, but this is a 318 industrial. So it's got a little smaller head, a little less cam. It's basically designed to run between, I don't know, idle and 2,500.
They were used in generators and power units and some equipment, lots of different kinds of equipment that needed to be powered by gasoline and not diesel.
Yeah.
They had a lot of torque, and they had a low RPM cam, like you were saying, for doing work.
12-volt ignition, so it's going to help to fire it right up. I think the earlier ones were 6-volt, but one of the major things I remember us running into when we bought this was that there was a major issue with the steering.
We started looking around, and we found out that the steering valve itself is a cylindrical rotating valve that directs hydraulic fluid to the steering assembly. It wasn't working.
Yeah, it was like a little pressure was always passing by. And so what it was like as the driver, if you wanted to go in a straight line down a trail, you were always gently turning the steering wheel to the left. And unlike an automobile, there's no end to your steering. It's infinite. So you just sit there driving down the road, slowly turning this thing. And I think I did that for about a quarter mile, brought it back to the shop and was like, Eric, we need to do something with the steering. You were able to figure out what it was, but just as impressive as you figuring out what it was when I called Tucker Sno-Cat.
And they had one.
They sent it in the original box. It was unbelievable. All right, well, look, let's take a look at the inside of this thing, because that's where you're going to be spending a lot of time. And I want to get into some of the controls and some of the unique aspects of driving a Tucker Sno-Cat. I do not think that there is such a thing as a graceful way to get in a Tucker Sno-Cat. That first step is really tough. But once you're in here, it's not that foreign of a place. If you're used to driving trucks and old cars and things like that, like I said, it's got everything you'd expect. Pretty standard instrumentation here. It looks definitely like someone's come through and added a lot of extra little lights and buttons over the years. Got a heater, which in a Sno-Cat, you want to make sure that's in top working order because you could have a long, cold day in this thing. We've got a Hobbs meter on here. It shows 1,100 hours on this unit. The thing that is a little startling is actually the mileage. This thing says it's got 13,358 miles on it. I've driven this thing like 1 mile. Can you, I mean, who puts 13,000 miles on a Sno-Cat? Where did you go? It's unbelievable. Nice little data tags here. Shows you all the information that you need. So when I called Sno-Cat, I just looked right here and I said, I got this, this, and this. And they said, oh yeah, here's your part. A week later, I had my part. Eric installed it. And since then, the steering's been spot on. Now operating this thing, pretty straightforward affair here. We've got a 4-speed manual transmission with a standard H pattern. You've got a clutch pedal over here on the left. You got a little spoon throttle over here on the right. You got the really cool diamond stitch interior in here, which is probably original. I'd actually be interested in calling Tucker and asking him about that because it certainly has the look of something that's been in here for a while. So over time, it looks like the owner probably added things to this. We've got the searchlight up in the top, which would be real handy if you're looking for a particular tree in the middle of the night. We've got some rear work lights, which would be very handy, interior lights, engine light. Well, I feel like we've gotten a pretty good understanding for how this thing moves around in the snow. I feel like we understand how it runs, how it moves. You explain the tracks.
Let's go out and drive it.
There's nothing else to do but drive it, is there? Thank you for watching This Old Truck. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing this 1966 Tucker Sno-Cat. She is, well, what? Quite a handful. I don't know who put 13,000 miles on this thing, but that was a manly man. Anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you again next time.